actually touch upon a point that hopefully all of you can comment on. We continue to see this Gio Reyna versus Gregg Berhalter, Mike. This issue keeps coming up. Gio coming out yesterday on his social media, I think it was Instagram. He did say, in quotes, "I am disappointed that there is continuing coverage of this matter, as well as some highly fictionalized version of events, and extremely surprised that anyone on the US men's national team staff would contribute to it." Reyna wrote on Monday, "Coach Berhalter has always said that issues that arise with the team will stay in-house so we can focus on team unity and progress." That didn't happen, Michael Lahoud. There seems to be a big problem here. What the hell's going on, man?
Gregg Berhalter has talked a lot about creating a culture, that the culture comes first before any single player. For the U.S. men's national team, the future is Gio Reyna. That is not a player you want to have in this situation. I give Gio Reyna credit for holding himself accountable by not just saying it's Berhalter and this, that, and the third, but saying, hey, I didn't behave well. I lost my cool. I was very emotional. That has been dealt with at the World Cup. What I struggle with, and we will see this play out, is as a manager, how did this get leaked out when you anonymously say something about a player? It's a modern day. When you anonymously say something about a player, I'm not going to say a name in an interview, but anonymously, we almost threw a player out who wasn't really buying into our culture. He wasn't getting many minutes. Deductive reasoning, you're going to find out Gio Reyna at some point. I always go to the top when I see things like this. The head coach, the manager, is responsible for the culture in the locker room, and also the captain. This is a U.S. men's national team that has to stuff this sort of stuff out, because that will cost them in the long run. They have a great opportunity with the Gold Cup coming up. They have an even bigger opportunity hosting the World Cup. I hope this gets resolved sooner rather than later.
Michael. I agree with you, but I disagree with you in the sense of the captain has a bit of responsibility. I disagree. When something like that happens, when you have the player directly talking about the manager and coaching staff, that came out from management and coaching. That was one of the managers or coaches within that system. That's not a player story. That's one of the people in position of power that let that story come out, which is sad because it was dealt with. And whether you look at it as a bit of a deflection as well, it's not good when that happens. I think it's horrible when that happens. And I think for me, it's not a good look in the US team with what's going on right now that a story like that leaks out. It's from management, and they let it out because they wanted it to come out. That's why, because they probably don't want to answer questions on why he wasn't heavily involved, why he didn't play, and they wanted that to come out. But as I've said it before, managers lies, players lie. Football environment, football is a great career, but it's just like a regular working office. There will be people who you get along with, people you don't. There'll be all types of stuff that goes on in football dressing rooms. The good dressing rooms always have a fantastic manager in place who is in charge of everything and keeps everyone on the same page in the same direction, and you'll never have to deal with situations like that.
So just to clarify here, you think that there was, Berhalter has to take some blame with this, right?
He has to take some blame because that came from management. That's not something that Gino would have want to come out anyway. That's come from, I personally believe, in my experiences, that's come from management side of things or one of the coaching staff.
I'm with you on that one. Here, I'll add a quick 2 cents on my thoughts on this as well. I actually predicted that Gio Reyna would have a fantastic World Cup. Actually, going into the World Cup, he'd gotten rid of his injuries and he was in really good form going into the World Cup. And that's why I predicted this could be his moment to shine. He's been rested. He's been injured for a majority of the season, come back just in time to get ready for a World Cup. Gregg Berhalter, who I know very well as well. Sorry, Greg, if you're watching this, but it really annoyed me. The fact that you took this stance on a player who could have changed how this all ended for the US men's national team in a World Cup. You can't have, in my opinion, you can't have these big problems. At times you will have egos in a camp. We've all been there where we have these players who are annoying and we have to have these conversations. But this is a phenomenal player. This is a player who can absolutely be a game changer for you. If you're going to bring him to a World Cup, in my opinion, you've got to try and play him. And if he's the one who's actually being a bad apple in the camp, then you have to get him out of the camp. So the biggest mistake was keeping him around. If you weren't going to play him, get rid of him. Get him out of the camp. But if you're going to keep him in the camp, you got to play a kid like this, man, because he could win you those games when you need him most. He could have been a game changer in a massive game like against the Netherlands because he's that good. Kid goes back to Borussia Dortmund, bangs one in the top corner. All of a sudden, everyone's talking about how great Gio Reyna is. It's too late now. World Cup's gone. These egos, these battles inside the US men's national team camp are absolutely ridiculous. They're driving me crazy. I don't think Greg helps it. at all. I think he actually is a problem when he says, well, we keep everything in house and, we try to do it and I have respect. I know Gregg, right? I played against Gregg. Gregg was a freaking idiot, man. Gregg used to hammer people, headbutt the walls, fight with people. He's not this calm guy you see gently. No, be yourself, man. Be your passionate self. Come out in the media and say this little guy was a bit of a willy. This guy acted immature and it should have been dealt with better. Be honest. That's what the media wants. That's what your team wants. That's what Gio Reyna wanted. Honesty. And nobody won with all of this situation here. Nobody won. I'm getting hammered by my producer Des here for mentioning the word Willie, so I'll say it again. Willie, Willie, Willie. It was a disappointment for me and massive disappointment that we didn't get to see the best of Gio Reyna in there as well.